Jaya Rama Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Rama Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janabhava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Balaji Mai Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Balaji Mai Subhadra Jaya Srinath Ji Jai Bhagopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jai Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishnupad Varamahamsa Varikacharya Astor Satishi Shrimad's Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhai Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananti Gauri Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Jai Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kunja Bihari Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki Jai Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Nitai Go Premananda All glories to the assembled All glories to the assembled All glories to the assembled All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya namaskritya Ram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Totayam udhiraya Nasta prayashu bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhagavati naishtaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 31. Is that correct? Text 31. Antar Bahis Cha Lokam Trin Antar Bahis Cha Lokam Trin Paryemi Askandita Vrata Paryemi Askandita Vrata Anugraham Maha Vishnu Anugrahan Maha Vishnu Avigata Gati Kvachit Avigata Gati Kvachit Antar Bahis Chalokam Strin Antar Bahis Chalokam Strin Antar Bahis Chalokam Strin Paryemi Askandita Vrata Paryemi Askandita Vrata Paryemi Askindat Vrata Anugrahan Mahavishnor Anugrahan Mahavishnor Anugrahan Mahavishnor Avigatagati Kvachit Avigatagati Kvachit Avigatagati Kvachit. Please chant. Antar Bahishtalokam Strin Paryemya Skandita Vrata Anugrahan Mahavishnu Avigata Gati Kvachit
Antar Bahishcha Lokam Trin
Antar Bahishcha Lokam Strin
Paryemi Askandita Vrata
Paryemi Askandita Vrata
Anugrahan Mahavishnu
Anugrahan Mahavishnu
Avighata Gati Kavi
Avigata Gati Kvachit. Anyone else like to try? Anta in the transcendental world. Bahi in the material world. Cha and Lokan planets. Trin three divisions. Paryemi travel. Askandita unbroken. Vrata vow. Anugrahat by the causeless mercy. Mahavishnu of the Mahavishnu. Purana Daksai Vishnu. Avigata without restriction. Gati, entrance. Kvachit, at any time. Antar bahishchalokam strin paryemya skanditavrata anugrahan mahavishnora bhigata gati kvachit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Please repeat. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are three divisions of the material spheres, namely the Urdhvaloka, topmost planets, Madhyaloka, the midway planets, and Adholoka, the downward planets. Beyond the Dridvaloka planets, that is to say above the Brahmaloka, are the material coverings of the universes. And above that is the spiritual sky, which is unlimited in expansion, containing unlimited, self-illuminated Vaikuntha planets, inhabited by God Himself, along with His associates, who are all eternally liberated living entities. Sri Narad Muni could enter all these planets in both the material and spiritual spheres without restriction. As much as the Almighty Lord is free to move personally in any part of His creation. In the material world, the living beings are influenced by the three material modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Sri Narad Muni is transcendental to all these material modes, and thus he can travel everywhere unrestricted. He is a liberated spaceman. The causeless mercy of Lord Vishnu is unparalleled, and such mercy is perceived by the devotees only by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, the devotees never fall down, but the materialists, that is, the fruitive workers, and the speculative philosophers do fall down, being forced by their respective modes of nature. The rishis, as above mentioned, cannot enter into the transcendental world like Narad. This fact is disclosed in the Nrsimha Purana. Rishis like Marichi are authorities in fruitive work, and rishis like Sanaka and Sanatan are authorities in philosophical speculations. But Sri Narad Muni is the prime authority for transcendental devotional service of the Lord, All the great authorities in the devotional service of the Lord follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni in the order of the Narada Bhakti Sutra. And therefore all the devotees of the Lord are unhesitatingly qualified to enter into the kingdom of God by Vaikuntha. Om Jnana Taminandasya Granjana Shalakaya Chakshusun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Once again we enter into the amazing transcendental realm with our consciousness being revealed by what abilities now Narad Muni is revealing that he has had since he came out of the body of Brahma, and it was awarded by Krishna. What also it appears to me he is revealing to us is because of the availability now being offered to us of this devotional service, Narad Muni is saying for us now to take this devotional service now and approach it so that we can become, like I was saying yesterday, perfectly situated, so that engaging in that same energy of Krishna, the soul that we are, when this body is fully used up, you drain the entire, get as much juice out of it as we can. So it's all used up. And then we will become spacemen too. The soul that has engaged in Krishna's bhakti faithfully reaches a stage of advancement with Krishna, then Krishna gives them opportunities and options that wouldn't otherwise be made available, because now, because of the need all the souls in the material universe have of being delivered from the material universe, and because of how rare devotees are, you see, then that makes it for Krishna an impressing kind of, this is why he wants devotees to take up this knowledge, because it is of such nature that it makes a devotee very precious, because the devotee is carrying with him the ability to give knowledge that liberates now the souls, that every soul we come in contact with now within this realm that we're associating with, we can give liberation to through their connection that they make through us with Krishna. I was getting a realization this morning. Oh, sweet it was to realize, Prabhu, this experience we have when we lose loved ones. It's called separation. But it is that separation that Srimati Radharani is revealing to Krishna as being that ultimate, most powerful longing we have as being separated from Krishna. And so, in order to show Krishna the feeling of that, she and he are residing in the same body of Lord Chaitanya, right? But think about this now. See, Srimati Radharani is also a part of Krishna's personality, that part which is love. So in effect, he's pushing himself to know what this feeling of love, of separation, how could he know separation from himself? See, without that togetherness that she was showing him when they went to Jagannath Puri. But think about this now. What Krishna did with Srimati Radharani to himself, he's doing to us. He's in this same body with us. The same way Srimati Radharani pushed him to be in the body with her in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Now Krishna putting us in that same form to show us what? The separation. And this that we have with loved ones we experience. But he wants us to know that separation that we have from him, what feeling he feels toward each and every one of us. And by us, I don't even mean only life forms. He's gone into every single form of life that is manifesting in the material universes to share with them that separation that he is experiencing from their being gone from him. Think about that. And see, so our separation for one, how limited that is and how much it hurts. It might be only one soul we're feeling. When it happens within us, it's like once in a year maybe or two that we get separation from someone else. But how much it hurts more than anything else, doesn't it? This pain of separation. And that is what all these scriptures are bringing out for us to know about Krishna himself having separation from us. And he wants to reveal to us that love he has for us by putting into these written literatures the way for us to come back to him, to satisfy this longing he has for all life to return where they came from. Yeah. We're so blessed. We're so fortunate to be able to come in contact with these transcendental literatures, be able to develop this knowledge about how deep love of God is for the soul, for the souls, all the souls, but how many souls have left? And he's feeling that for all of us. Can you imagine what we feel for one? We are one little tiny spark of Krishna's love. That feeling of separation from one soul we could become attached to is so strong. Some people will end their existence because of that feeling of separation from another. And yet, Krishna, Jai Krishna Kunjabhira, Jai Krishna, Jai Baladeva, Jai Shishi Gurnika. So just think, Krishna being the completeness of love itself, from whom all love comes, what that feeling of separation that we have chosen to make from him, how must that feel? If we, as little tiny drops of Krishna, feel such pain and separation from the love of one other soul, very much like ourselves, to the extent that we are disabled, can't do the work, you can't think about anything else, tears just flowing constantly, and that's one soul. Now we have all chosen to separate ourselves from Krishna and love itself. Can you imagine what love itself is experiencing from the separation of those that are part of it, which we have chosen to take that place?
It's the same thing as. We.
Yeah. See? So, all this is more emotion towards us personally. All the writings that have ever been written for us. All the incarnations ever been made for the living entities that have turned away. All for us. All these activities Krishna takes part in to liberate the souls that have chosen to leave. Why? Because he's feeling that separation from us, which Super Soul is. And that's why Super Soul is now wanting to give us that communion with us to satisfy that satisfaction, satisfy that feeling of separation that we should be having for him also mutually. But see what can happen once we are brought to the understanding of that separation that Krishna is having from us. Boy, that can invoke in us some really powerful feelings of separation ourselves. Can't be controlled. Start crying. And then Krishna gives you a realization to make you want to laugh, because that's his nature. He doesn't like to see us sad. And this is why he reveals to us what we're made of so that we can be happy all the time and know what the fullness of bliss is, that we do have communion with Krishna. And this union since birth, since experiencing the reality of consciousness itself, this connection has been available there for us to be able to taste and have forever and ever and ever now. So just finding that place that we are comfortable to know that we can do this forever and ever, because that's the relationship Krishna's giving us the opportunity to develop now consciously. We've had it without knowing, but now to have it knowingly with Krishna. See, the birds breathe his breath too. The worm eats the substance that came out of his own body. All of these things are out of Krishna's own manifestation, being partaken of by all other forms of life without knowledge. But we, the ones Krishna has chosen to reveal himself to, now are being given the fullness of realization of what God's love is for us and what kind of love we should have as well for him in return. In return. This is where satisfaction comes in. You don't need to have another person then to satisfy your feelings when you know that Krishna is the one we've been really longing for, to know the perfection of. The perfection of love, the perfection of relationship, the perfection of knowledge, the perfection of security. And this is real insurance. And they want to sell you a kind of insurance so that when you die, there will be a coffin for you. That's their insurance policy. Krishna's got a better insurance policy.
And it's free.
Just, yeah.
Does it cost you $32?
Well, it takes a couple of hours a day to concentrate your energy on. But the experience freeing us, not only does it make it free, because as it becomes a part of our life, we don't have to do anything else. And as you said, it doesn't cost anything to chant. But not only that, the end result of the chanting is of such purifying nature and assuring nature, strengthens the mind, solidifies the faith of the soul that's taking part in the process. Gives us full realization of everything now that we do in life has a purpose. Every thought that comes into our mind is strengthening to us, and we're looking out for how we can give this to others. So everything is working for our good. Everything is in Krishna's hands. He's all powerful. We're serving him. We have nothing to fear. Fearless. Isn't it wonderful to be fearless? To know there is nothing to fear. With Krishna, if he can fight those demons with one finger, that have the ability to move the earth, and he can take care of them with one finger. How powerful. The person, the supreme person that we're calling by the title God Almighty. These terms that we use, but so supremely, divinely, lovingly describes it all in the two syllables, Krishna. Krishna. And every time we say that name, we are revealing to him how we feel about him. And we can see that he wants us to let us know that, to let him know that. He wants, and we're letting ourselves know that when we're listening closely as well, while we're chanting. When we're chanting, if we're listening to the mantra, then we're listening to how we feel about Krishna. So, if you're in a courtroom and a judge pronounces your name, he's going to say it in a specific way to make you know and put you in your place, right? You are the subject of my judgment, right? I'm going to put you in your place and make you know how small you are, right? But the same name being spoken by someone that loves you, then it's the same name, same sound vibration, but spoken in such a way to as instill within that name a feeling for you. This is what the mantra is. Our expression of love for Krishna. And with every bead, it can be growing. Every round is one step closer to pure love for Krishna. And knowing to the extent that we can contain it, what that love is for us. Is when we come to know to the extent that we're capable of knowing how much Krishna does really love every soul that there is. You can't contain it, you know. You just can't help but want to let everybody know that God is caring enough to make a way for us to find perfection in everything that we make the endeavor to find. And then ultimately at the end of this life, even find a way. He can even transform these bodies, give us the ability to go to other planets. Now, we should not look from our consciousness with the limitations of anything that a person limited by their own consciousness restricts themselves by. We should not limit ourselves by those restrictions, because you are not supposed to look at yourself as being conditioned anymore. Once you are acting under the guidance of the Guru, under the spiritual master's guidance, and engaging in bhakti, bhakti is not your energy. And the instructions the Guru gives you is not your own concoction. And the end result of the purpose Krishna has for giving those instructions to you is what we have to come to know. Because what Krishna sees us as having the ability to do, we don't know. But as we pray, as we continue on the path, as we develop friendship, relationship with Krishna, he reveals it to us. But in time, and by qualification then, that can change. 1 year you might do one thing, next year you might become qualified to do something else, right? So, but immediately, when a devotee surrenders to Krishna, automatically, by Krishna's unction as super soul within him, giving him knowledge of himself, puts that soul in a place to be able to give even that initial contact he has had, the knowledge of that, to those that have never had contact. So it puts them above Christians in every category of Christian. You know how many categories of Christianity there are?
Oh, dear Lord, yes.
How many what?
I said, oh dear Lord. Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord.
Hundreds. Hundreds.
You didn't talk about
Well, see, in the literature that Christians put out, who find what Christianity is promoting, then they come to a state in believing that then they have to rebel against Christianity. So in their research, just as most researchers would do, you can find proof, practically speaking, of anything you want to prove, right? So I have read research said that there are 666.
Yeah.
You know where that number
I love it.
666 what?
Divisions of Christianity
Oh, for real?
that have divided against
I
themselves.
wouldn't doubt it. And each one of them is telling the other one they're going
Yeah.
to help.
And see, this number 666 is what is described as, in the Bible, as, quote unquote, the beast.
Right.
So, when you look at the act, it is also described in parallel as the harlot.
Revelations, yeah.
The harlot is described as a woman who has left her husband. Does it sound familiar with what we've done to Krishna?
Oh, wait. Oh,
We
yeah.
have left our husband. We have left the one who is revealing to us we're married to Krishna in one body. In one body with God. We're sharing. We've left that place. So in a sense, the soul, this is a story of the soul. The church is made up of the souls that are within it, right? Taking part in its process of knowing God. And so as such, the church itself as a whole takes on a female relationship as a wife to God, right? The church itself is married to God in a sense. This is the revelation given by this book of Revelation, given to a servant of the person called Jesus, whose real name by his friends was Usha. So, that harlot, for a person who really takes part sincerely in Christianity, they come to find that this promotion of kingdoms in this world for the Christian to pursue the abundant life. Isn't that what it's described as? Christ made the statement, I come that you might have life
And have it more abundantly.
and have it more abundant. And they translate this to mean that you might be wealthy, have 2 or 3 mansions, a speedboat on the weekends, a Mercedes during the week. You know, this is their home of abundance, life of abundance. But if you take that statement out of context, you can make that conclusion. But if you're going to follow someone, you have to take their whole life as its complete value. So people who are on the path to find prosperity, we have knowledge. I have knowledge on how they can gain as much money as they want. And if you show yourself to be an honest person, I'll give you that knowledge. But that form of knowledge will only keep you bound to this world. And that pursuit of that, because Krishna fulfills desires of those who, are faithful and follow the path he gives regulations to follow, pursuing pious activities to be able to take part in activities that benefit other human beings and that promote love amongst mankind, these kinds of things that are helpful to mankind. But these kinds of acts can keep us tied into this material cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease if our aim is not to fulfill the purpose of Krishna. Now, look at this mansion. Somebody could say, well, you're living in a mansion, you know. But I don't have any attachment to this mansion. It doesn't have any, I don't have any, or barely a piece of it in it, is, I could say, claim ownership. Yet I have full facility of using it. And then in my life, the time I am spending, I could get invited tomorrow to, you know, give a lecture somewhere, and go and experience the pleasures and the luxuries of people that are very wealthy. And then the next day, I'd be, you know, sitting in a cave somewhere meditating. So devotee knows that by the presence of Krishna, wherever you are, you can find the purity, the whole sanctification that love is, simply by the consciousness and the things we meditate on, the things we put our energy, the things we aim our energy towards. And that can be the highest experience of love. Or we can fill our minds with all the atrocities that are going on in the world, which is what happens when you can't help it. If you're going to go to find out what the government is involving itself in, which, you know, if we pray for our leaders, we are praying with the hope that they will do what God wants them to do, right? This is what would be best for society if man follows God's laws. And so if we pray for them, we want to see that they're getting the result of our prayers. But as it is, it looks to me as though, and this is what
It looks to me as though.
It looks to me as though, from the scriptures revealing that without contact of a pure soul, they don't get revelation. Even by prayer, we can pray for them, but unless we have the ability to contact them and give them what we know by personal association, they have no means of getting it. Even picking up a book, even reading Srila Prabhupada's books, they can still be believing in their minds that Mayavadi is still an alternative. They need association to know. And this is what all the scriptures are revealing to us. It is by association with someone who has had association, with someone who has had association with the pure devotee. And it only takes one pure devotee to liberate the whole universe. Narad Muni, that's his job, that's what he's doing. And see, we see by one, look at that, the whole generation that Srila Prabhupada was born into at the time now has been affected worldwide by now, this name of Krishna having been spread across the entire planet, so that there is not a moment in which the sunshine is being shone upon that part of the earth that people are chanting Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There was a statement made when this became true of the Kingdom of England, right? England had so much influence around the world and had protective armies in so many countries around the world that it was said that the sun never set on England.
Oh, dear Lord, yeah.
Srila Prabhupada said, if the sun never set on England, how come there's never sunshine in England?
Okay. Always fall.
Yeah. The influence of these kingdoms, these man-made kingdoms, we do not know, have an effect upon the weather. So they see the weather from the circumstances created the day before and the day before that. By the influences of the humidity, the air pressure, and all these things, they are predicting. But they don't know that those things came into effect by other influences. Then the things, it's just like If you see a boy riding down the street on a bicycle, you may say, well, because the force of the feet on the pedals are going in this direction, and so many foot-pounds are pushing that front wheel, and so many foot-pounds are being pushed by the axle. And that is the cause of the movement. But the boy on the bicycle had an intention and a purpose in getting on that bicycle. And that's the actual cause. The same way, we are looking at scientifically what causes weather, not knowing that it is coming from a higher cause. That's what karma is. And that's what the outer forces of false ego are. We can't see them. Srila Prabhupada, I believe he even made the statement, they may one day see the soul. See, they are seeing RNA and DNA spirals in every cell. Only now, in what, the last 40, 50 years, which has always been available and made known by these ancient scriptures, thousands of years old. And then to the person who takes part in the process to realize the significance of that, then you combine modern with ancient, and then realization of there is how Krishna is allowing this record of what we are doing to act upon the result of our activities and what we get in return by the reactions caused by karma. In a sense, it's a very complicated system, but to Krishna, it's a very simple thing, the way he made it for himself. To have all the souls create a perfect balance, a system of energy that gives everybody equally dividing. In other words, everybody that has the same activity gets treated the same way for that activity. But not everybody's engaging in the same activity. So that's why the results are being different. And then they're getting results of previous activities that other people haven't engaged in. So even though two people may engage in the same activity, they don't get the same result. They may apply the same effort. They may weigh the same. They may have gone to the same school. They may have been born in the same hospital on the same day. They'll get a different result. That's how individual. And Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, all of these scriptures are revealing to us as well. We will never lose that individuality. Krishna takes pleasure in how many varieties of us, of souls, that there are. Think about it. Everything that is Krishna is causing, in a sense, to happen. He's allowing. What we look at, even as crime, is fulfilling laws that Krishna has set as established repercussions of karma on both parties. We see limitedly because we see only now what activity is happening. But there are activities of the past that cause these activities to come into place when the so-called innocent seem to be able to be controlled by the so-called controllers, even destroyers, heinous criminals. They can't pull the trigger. There's several things at work here, because you can't see a devotee as receiving reactions the same way when someone is responding to their belief in God. Right? When a believer is making statements about God and people are reacting to that, that's not karma now. So that's the difference between martyrdom and someone getting killed because they're a criminal or shot at, right? And this is what humanity at large is saying justifies acts of war. That they take part in acts of war to prevent more killing. It's almost like taking part in procreation to help virginity or something. I don't know, it's crazy in a sense. To create war, to stop war.
Yeah.
Kill, to stop killing. But in a sense, that's the sense of justice that we're experiencing in the material world, because the way sinful activity is being engaged in by so many living entities. And so it puts us, human beings, in a place to force us to take part in activities ultimately as souls we know are not right. Taking empowerment and force over other human beings, maybe our same age, maybe a few years older than us, maybe a few years younger than us, and thinking we have control over them, or we have the right to portray our conceptions of what is right and wrong upon them. And society is made and determined to be controlled by people that they have appointed to govern them and tell them what is right and wrong, and set up means by which they can be punished and rewarded for that activity. And society has gone on like this for some time. But in the spiritual world, not exactly the same. There is no karma. There is no pain. There's no suffering. There's no rewards. It's different altogether. It is only love. But to be in that place where there only ever has been love, to return there, that's what we're being given a vision of in the chanting. Because when we chant, we're advised by Krishna, look at the end of your nose. What does that mean? You just stare at your nose. No, but you're closed off from every other thing around you that is existing in this material world. It's not if somebody nudges you, you don't know they're there and you don't respond. But your mind is closed off because it is the vehicle we use to get to the transcendent place that we are aiming at the end of this life to get to by the process we're taking part in. It's not why we do it, but the means of getting there, we use the mind to get there with. And if the mind is boggling itself with the things in this material world, it's just like if you're using your car motor and you got the wheel off and you're driving something else with it, you can't drive the car to where you're going. It's being used for something else besides its purpose. So if we are engaging enough in this chanting, and it requires, especially in the beginning, and Lord Chaitanya's discussions with Haridas Thakur, because now he is Lord Brahma. You were expressing a desire to discuss about chanting, right? Mm-hmm. He's Lord Brahma, and he's coming here as the Nam Acharya, or the teacher. Lord Brahma.
Okay.
Haridas Thakur.
Okay.
And in that position, then, he is revealing the perfection of chanting. You might say, as Namacharya, he is the embodiment of chanting. And see, as Brahma, he has chanted so much, Krishna has given him 4 heads to chant with. See? And all those 4 heads are chanting. And so, in his conversation, Lord Chaitanya's conversation with Lord Brahma, in that form of Namacharya, he tells 3 times, he repeats, when you reach an elderly age, you can reduce your number of rounds. Lord Chaitanya says to Haridas, Namacharya Haridas Thakur, when you reach an elderly age, you can reduce the number of rounds. Haridas refuses. Okay. He is Namacharya. But our understanding of Lord Chaitanya is that when he repeats something 3 times, he's making a very significant statement, okay? Here's a statement of Lord Chaitanya repeated 3 times. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nastiva, Kalo Nastiva, Kalo Nastiva, 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 Yatir Anyata. So, he's saying, in this age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way but the chanting of these holy names, the chanting of these holy names, the chanting of these holy names. To be able to chant constantly. So, to get to the point where, when we're not using our mouth to chant, but we chant with our minds, no matter what we're doing. I'm chanting. You might see me doing this thing and the other thing, but I am chanting all day long. I might be talking on the telephone with my brother in my mind. I'm chanting, Krishna, please give me the words to speak to him like that. So this is what we develop. It requires an enormous amount of concentration, but we will feel as an enormous amount of concentration in the beginning, in the first few years, until the habit is so developed that the mind just takes it as part of life, you know. And so that's why the 16 rounds pretty much expected or required or urged or pushed or made to be a promise. So it puts in our mind that it will take that much. And if we can't reach that, at least the pursuit it will prod us will be the consciousness that brings us to deliverance. Because as long as we're in our minds, we've broken the false ego when we are saying, Krishna, I'm trying. Krishna, I'm doing what I can to do this. So please give me the strength. That's not you. That's not your false ego because you're wanting some. Krishna wants to give you more than you want. We have to be brought to that understanding of it. So all these things that Krishna is giving as a process is a reward itself, actually. Because it's the means of spiritually gaining the greatest amount of strength spiritually that is available in this age, Krishna's own words, and connection with him through the chanting, Hare Krishna. Yeah. And so, just remember every day, Krishna's chosen you. And so he might require of you more than you think you can do.
Yeah.
And that's where you're brought to. So see too, a lot of times people are brought to the point of surrender. Krishna explains there's 4 kinds of people that surrender. And some of them, and to my mind, these are the ones that will be the most willing, is those who are brought to a state of destitution. Everything's been taken away. You read the story of Job in the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
7 years, plague covered with his whole body, sores covering his whole body. And then friends, so-called. Why do you can curse God now? Look at what he's done to you. This is what they come to bring him.
Took absolutely everything away from him.
Yeah.
His kids, everything.
And still, God took pleasure in the fact that he was being tested to that extent and still never lost his faith in God. I carried sores for about a year or so in my whole body.
You carried
A sores. When you pick lemons, remember oranges having it. they have these pickers, and when you're picking them, the fruit, the pickers go into your skin. Now, the fruit has sprays on it. When those little picks heal, they scratch, they itch. When you rub your hands while you're working and have this spray on it, it spreads over your whole body.
Oh, wow.
And that's what happened to me for a whole year. My whole body was covered with sores from that, from picking fruit. And went through it. It was testing, but I didn't take it as God's fault. It was something I did to myself. And see, that's another lesson that we can take when we're brought to the point of realizing and taking responsibility for sin that we've engaged in that we didn't even know was sin. Then Krishna gives us knowledge to be able to then perceive and understand those things in the future, even pertaining to the mundane body. Give us knowledge about foods to eat, foods not to eat, things to avoid. And all of us are different. We all got different bodies. But the science of Ayurveda is specific to each body type too. It's so amazing. Every aspect of Krishna consciousness, architectural design, the use of energy inside of a home, and how we worship, so many things, how we stay clean. All these are simple principles in everybody's life that everybody gets a little bit of knowledge about. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, Krishna gives you the completeness of it and how he sees everything. That's what the meaning of Krishna consciousness is. Seeing like this. Any comments, any questions, anything you agree? I realize this right now. It's prasadam time. Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Shanta.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very nice. I needed to hear that so bad.
Krishna. But see, you have to be sensitive as well to Prabhupada's desire about what because he's taking responsibility for you more or less.
Yeah.
Under his wing. So what he will allow you to do, you have to take into consideration.